Welcome to Riding Mower King. In this video, we're going to look at this old Sears Super 12 tractor with a snowblower on it. And it needed a carburetor and a head gasket. And I got the carburetor from eBay, and it was a very cheap carburetor. But we're going to see what happens with putting that cheap carburetor on this old Tecumseh engine. Before we get to the engine, we'll talk about the tractor a little bit. This enclosure was already on here when I got it. It's very sturdy. It's fully enclosed there. When you're inside, you're protected from the elements. And it's designed that all the controls are functional and accessible with the enclosure completely closed. It's enclosed on all four sides with windows. It's even got a light so you can see the controls at night. Now, because of the way the front window is made, the pipe is in the way, so you have to pull the pipe off to open or close the window. But that's a small price to pay for having a windshield on a tractor. So the whole point of this tractor's life now is to be a snowblower, which this snowblower was fully functional, simple belt drive with a foot pedal engagement inside the cab. On this style Sears tractor, the battery and the gas tank are both under the hood with the engine, so there's not a whole lot of space under there to work. Now, when I got this tractor, the engine did run, but you had to have the throttle like in the middle, and the choke had to be almost closed all the way. And I took the carburetor apart. It was not savable. Now, here on the close-up, you can see the carburetor and the fuel bowl. This still used a fuel bowl. And that bowl goes right into the carburetor, and the fuel line is right next to the fuel bowl. So there was some constraints there with space as far as what was going to work. But I looked around on Amazon and on eBay, and I found this listing on eBay. It is actually listed as fitting this tractor, which I thought was pretty remarkable. And it did actually fit. I think I needed to use two gaskets because I think this is the one where the fuel bowl was right against the engine, right against the block. But it did actually fit, and the air cleaner bolted up. The bolt spacing is what was needed. And the fuel inlet was on the correct side of the carburetor also. So here we see the carburetor installed with the fuel shutoff and the fuel filter. It just happened to work out that everything did fit in there. And here's a nice close-up of the carburetor. You know, like I said, everything was orientated right. It bolted right on, which I thought was amazing for an over 50-year-old tractor. In a minute here, we're going to get to the real reason that I made this video. And it's to show what happened when I put this cheap Chinese carburetor on this old tractor. But I want to tell you why I think it's so significant. When you go to these old tractor shows and things like that and auctions, you know, the people, these single-cylinder engines, they have them idling nice and slow. And, you know, it's like a sense of pride how slow that they can make these things run. And I was able to do something like that with this engine once I put this carburetor on. You know, so I recorded it. I wasn't making videos when I did this. I just happened to record this just to document, you know, how this engine ran with this cheap carburetor and that the engine and the tractor was in such good condition. So now we're going to see the clip of this engine actually running. I would say like new, maybe better than new, with this cheap carburetor. So here's the clip that I really wanted to show. So there you can see just how good this engine ran with this cheap Chinese carburetor. And I had no reservations about putting this carburetor on here. This is not something I did as a restoration piece. This was I repaired this to go out and blow snow, and it worked. It ran just fine with the blower engaged. It flowed enough fuel and everything. So, this is a cheap repair. If you need a carburetor and it just can't be repaired, this is available. This is not a paid promotion or anything. I bought this carburetor a few years ago and put this on here. But this is just to show that it can work if you're in a pinch. Like I said, this is not a restoration, so it really doesn't matter that it's not original. Give this video a thumbs up and hit subscribe if you think it's something valuable. That way you don't miss the next ones that are coming out. We'll see you in the next video.